Episode 201 is entitled Home because in this episode, Ash returns to his hometown. He's been gone 30 years. The town hated him. They thought he was a murderer, and they have a song called Ashy
Slashy, hatchet and saw.
Takes your head and skins you.
Raw.
Oh, it freaks me out even saying it.
Ashy Slashy is blamed for everything bad that happened in that cabin in the woods. He's not a hometown hero, he's a hometown villain.
Ashy Slashy.
The scale and the scope of what we're doing is a lot larger. It starts off with a real bang in episode 1 and just keeps going on from there.
We designed it to Pablo, pulling his own face off. We looked into different materials they actually used back in the 80s, and one of them was gelatin. So we ended up making a gelatin mask, which he could easily pull apart. It was a nice little throwback to sort of an old school gelatin effect. When we decided to do the bartender, we have him be in a blender and actually have him just blend up. And by the time he actually comes up out of it, it's just his arms.
Do I have blood on my face?
These over-the-top sequences really are the backbone of the franchise. Episode 202 is entitled The Morgue because Ruby, in order to conceal the book, has hid it where her spawn can't find it, which is inside dead flesh. Ash has to go and retrieve that book. And of course, where is there more dead flesh than in a morgue?
Ash gets attacked by the colon monster.
Oh God, I'm in the butt.
What happened as we actually started working through it with stunts, we realised that we had to build 4 realistic autopsy dummies. We ended up spending a huge amount of time making cadavers, making all the interiors for them, for the Necronomicon. We ended up making a colon creature, which was an old school cable-driven puppet. As you start breaking it down, you realise that you need 4 different types of the same puppet to be able to do all the reverse print stuff, to be able to get it to attack someone. At the end of the day, we're really proud of what ends up being a pretty memorable scene.
And reset? No, enough of that shit.
I give many different people, from the writers to the stunt players to Bruce, credit for making this really unusual, over-the-top sequence where we have one of the great classic set pieces in the Evil Dead universe. It's truly classic Bruce doing physical gags. Makes me laugh every time I see it.
This town is only big enough for one asshole, and that asshole is me.
In episode 203, Last Call, there's really 2 stories going on, the one in the bar and one of the kids who have stolen the Delta. Now we've got a possessed car running around.
When the Delta gets possessed, it was a sort of almost a complete rebuild of the vehicle, where we've changed out all the wheels, we've changed the bonnet out, made a fiberglass bonnet that can snarl, changed the fittings around the headlights and everything like that to give the eyes a slightly more aggressive look.
We thought it would be fun to try and do our version of Pristine, but make it scarier, cooler, more violent. When we were thinking about meeting Ash's father, Lee was the right person.
What the rice and beans are you doing here? The best part of being involved in this production is working with this tremendous cast and crew.
Lee was a huge hero to Bruce and I as kids. It was just a lucky casting choice, and it all worked out like it should.
There's something I've kept from you.
What is it, Pop?
It's a last call for Lee Majors being a living member of the cast. Ivan Raimi wrote episode 204, Driving Under the Influence, DUI. The evil force hits the car, and the car goes possessed.
Possessed? Come on, baby, not you.
And now the car wants to kill Ash. It effectively kills his father.
We made our prosthetic and dummies rock so that Ash could lift him up into his arms and sort of cradle him. We ended up getting this model of this actual person's brain. And for quite a while around the workshop, we had about 4 different types of Brock's brains that we were sort of trying out. We wanted it, Ash actually picks his brain up to have this kind of spongy, crazy, sort of gooey feel to it.
Pablo, you don't see another eyeball around here, do you?
Ash walks in to the demolition derby. He sees a little puddle of oil.
Pennzoil Platinum. Hello, baby. It's the ultimate man versus car. Michael Bassett was directing this particular episode, and directors always want to know, what are you going to do? Can we lash you to the top of the car? Can we harness you and throw you around this demolition derby ring? So I said, like an idiot, yeah, let's do it. You know, I hit the hood and rolled over, went kasplat right on the windshield. So thankfully, they won't let me get killed. They'll let me get sort of hurt and very uncomfortable, but that's about it.
Come on, baby! Don't make me do this!
It was really a directorial feat to try and say, hey, here's how we're going to do the car. So it was a first unit and a second unit integration in a very complicated and tricky world of trying to do a possessed car. And I think we've done some really fun things to bring digital lowriders to life. Episode 205 was a unique episode for Ash vs. Evil Dead. We have seldom found ourselves inside a single location besides the cabin. In this case, it was the sheriff's station.
I want to make sure we put this guy away for a long time.
It's different than all the other ones because they were confined and because somebody's evil and we don't know who it is. And usually we know, oh, that person's a Deadite and we're just waiting for them to pop. The writers wanted to try a different sort of a monster. It was a way of getting a different look into the series, so they came up with this idea of meat bodies.
We decided what we'd do is find someone who is incredibly skinny and start with them as a base. So we ended up sculpting a full silicone suit for him.
It's our base silicone suit. It's kind of like an undergarment. We're going to dress a whole lot of other stuff on top of it. Norrie's making the latex headpiece for it.
What we've got here is a puppet for the skinned body that gets sawn in half by Ash.
It's fantastic.
You know that in my formative years, I was a butcher. Yeah.
That's why you're so convincing.
I'm actually the one who designed this setup because I know which part of the body is more vulnerable to a moving saw.
Right. Well, you've never been better.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. You know, it's lots of years of practice. This doesn't happen overnight, as you can imagine.
Episode 206, Trapped Inside. One of the great things about 206 was having Cheryl come back, Ash's sister, who died at the end of Evil Dead 1.
You died after you got branch banged by a demon tree about 30 years ago.
I was the original Cheryl in the 1981 production of The Evil Dead. And now I come back 37 years later to reprise my role.
It's really, really good.
I'm wearing the same clothes, minus the guts, that Cheryl wore 37 years ago.
Hey, Cheryl!
What?
I think she really enjoyed the challenge of coming back as that character. In this, we learned that Cheryl and Ash's best friend, Chet, had a relationship that they never told Ash about.
There was this idea about Cheryl taking his heart out as a symbol of their love, I suppose.
No!
We're always wanting to achieve something practical. We said, oh, well, why don't we make a beating heart and have that as a real practical piece. Once again, sitting around the table discussing decapitations, trying to figure out another cool way for Ash to cut someone's head off, which seems to be, 20% of our time in pre-production. There was this great idea of chucking her into the car, into the back of the Delta, and as a nice way of presenting her for a decapitation. And it meant that there would be a dead stump of a body in the car dripping out of the back of the Delta, which is a cool image.
Delusion is the story of Ash under Ball's control in the insane asylum. It's a really fun app. Reminds me what a gifted actor Bruce is. Great at physical comedy, great at all the things that help make Evil Dead great. One of the aspects of Delusion is that the normal cast members are playing other roles in this world that is in Ash's head.
Stop talking to me. I'm working here.
Oh, I like it. You're staying in character.
It was a great chance to show acting chops that they normally don't get to do. So I know that Dana loved being the crazy patient.
This is made from a mold in prosthetics of my actual hand.
She was so into it that she ended up, like, physically breaking our rig, you know, when she broke her own fingers.
Do you think it's broken? I gotta call the doctor.
This particular episode was Ash was often acting alone or acting across from inanimate objects. In this case, it was a puppet.
Hey, pal, what's the scoop?
Puppeting is an art form way beyond just having something going like this.
Get your filthy puppet butthole off of my arm!
We all love that puppet.
Wakey, wakey, hands off your snakey.
It really shows that Ash is the master of playing with himself. Episode 208, Ashy Slashy, is Ash in a typical 80s slasher movie. And in it, Ash is the villain. It created our version of that Michael Myers kind of thing, the unseen shape or force chasing down the innocent victims and killing them.
I'm gonna kill all of you and put an end to this nightmare.
Kelly has her own encounters with the evil puppet. It was great to get Dana doing physical comedy.
I apparently was too rough with little Ashy Slashy and took out his eye. Always bring a gun to a puppet fight. You're disgusting. She loves it.
At the end of episode 208, Pablo is calling forth with all his powers, some sort of natural forces. There's a giant plate glass window that breaks and all the glass comes flying in and hits Pablo. We have some really great digital makeup people that painted the glass flying into Pablo's back, sticking there and bleeding. At the end of 208, Pablo dies.
We did a full body cast of him, which is a lot of work. We got him in quite early and started getting all the components together. We made nice halves that could slip off each other, fall onto the ground.
In the Evil Dead universe, you must dismember the ones you love, and that's just how it works. We've killed off plenty of important people over the life of the franchise. We always knew we wanted to go back to the cabin. We loved the cabin. Ash alone in the cabin is always gold.
You like it hot? You like it hot?
Let's see Ash up against something stupid. What's he gonna do? What face is he gonna pull in this episode? I love all those things.
Today we're at the cabin in the woods, 1982.
My evil mistress in the woods.
This time we've actually gone back in time to just before the moment where Ash walked into the cabin. So we're actually going back a little bit further than the movie.
Come on, let's change history.
In revisiting 1982, we got to tell the prequel to Ash arriving at the cabin.
I read from the book and summoned the Kandarian demon.
It was magnificent until it possessed my wife, Henrietta.
It's a lot of fun, and I think the fans are going to really enjoy that we were able to bring that kind of prequel to life and not ruin the franchise. And I think that we've done that with Professor Noby and his wife and bringing Ted back to play that part.
Let's have some fun!
They said, yeah, we might get Ted Raimi to play Henrietta again. And we're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
You call that fun? Give baby a kiss!
We looked at the original design really closely and tried to match it as much as we could because it's an iconic thing.
I feel pretty honoured to be working on a piece like this.
Bye-bye, dear.
Episode 210, that title carries multiple meanings. Ash has gone back in time, so it's his second coming to the cabin. His dad, Cheryl, Chet, Pablo show up, that's their second coming. Ash comes back into town as the hero and is accepted by the town, so it's his second coming. So whether actually dead or dead to their friends or dead to the world, all these characters are risen from the dead in some fashion. I'm gonna hurt you. Episode 209 carries on into 210. Now that Henrietta is unleashed, we suddenly found ourselves in the middle of Evil Dead 2. And so we knew that we had to give the fans long-necked Henrietta.
In the original, there was a whole lot of stop frame involved. We decided to make it as a puppet so that our stunt guy could wear the neck.
But that kind of movement, those big arm movements were great, Tony.
Tony Marsh wears the rig, and you can see through the little eye holes there, the little eye hole openings, and he can breathe, and it's puppeteered off the side using rods.
It's nice and slimy and creepy. We've been so happy that we've been able to do it and click back into that old mode of making stuff. It's been really great.
You've done your part. Now you can live a normal life.
We wanted to leave the future open for Ash without saying what he's going to do in the future, but he's told them he's coming back to live. I just know that trouble would follow him wherever he goes, so I'd make sure I move from that town.